It's a
hate
lot.
answering
It's a lot.
But I'll be fine.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. When probably around the time like second grade, because I came from like a very like predominantly like minority area, and I moved to a predominantly white area, so like I could count on my fingers how many like people of color there were at my school, and I remember feeling so different and like not being able to like understand it because I was so young and like naive. But yeah, that was probably it. Like my hair was curly and everyone's hair was straight and blonde, and like yeah, around that time.
I grew up in Jackson Heights, so I feel like we were all kind of different. The majority was like first generation. So I would say like the kids that were different were almost the ones that were like second generation. So we were all a little bit different, so nobody felt really like they were different from the other ones because we all had that in common.
It was probably after I moved to like upstate New York in the suburbs, because it's a predominantly white area, and I didn't realize until like middle school or high school that like I was one of the very few like people of color, let alone like Latinx person. So that was probably the time. Did you ever feel embarrassed to have immigrant parents?
No.
When I was younger, like just like being in this predominantly white area, like not before that, but when I came here, like my parents weren't as like fluent in English, and I remember just like being embarrassed about having them like come to like school events and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was around the same time, kind of like middle school, that I really hated being Latinx, and that sounds so bad now because now I take so much pride in it, but I hated that we were so different, and that, you know, like why couldn't my parents be like my friends' white parents? It didn't really have to do with anything physical as much as like cultural, so yeah.
My Spanish is not that great, and I always felt really insecure about it. Like, I love telling people that I'm Latino, but like then, like I'm like don't speak to me in Spanish because I'm bad at it. But yeah, and then I just felt different like being in school, like around all my friends who were white, and then I just never really felt like we were the same because I didn't have a lot of friends of color until like high school. So.
I don't think so. I think I don't really worry too much about what other people think. I like to focus on just like what I need to do. So I don't really pay attention.
My mom, sometimes she still asks me, but she would always ask me if I ever felt embarrassed of being Latinx, and at the time I didn't think that I did, but she never really forced me to like embrace one or the other. I think she was just concerned that I was embracing too much American culture, that she would ask me that, I guess as a way to like remind me that I shouldn't be embarrassed of being Latinx.
I don't think so. I think growing up, they just kind of shared their experiences, but they didn't really have me be strictly part of one or strictly part of the other.
My parents would always call me like gringa, which is like really like, which is white, and like because I wouldn't speak, I don't know, my mom always thought I was more embarrassed about like speaking Spanish and like about my Spanish culture, but I wasn't like actively thinking like, oh, this is so like I'm gonna try not to like be like embrace my culture.
I think everyone, since I grew up with everyone that was kind of first generation, we're all kind of moving through the experience together. I think I have more pressure now passing that on rather than being part of like first generation.
Probably like the pressures of it all. Like my parents would like always push me to do really well, like, and I felt like I had to do so much because of everything they went through to get here and to get me where I am. It was probably just like, yeah, I just felt really overwhelmed. Like I just wanted to make them proud and stuff.
So much pressure to succeed because my parents to this day are constantly reminding me how grateful I should be of like all of my privileges and all the things that I've gotten to experience that they didn't, which I'm totally grateful for. But it was that constant reminder of, you know, we came to this country, we sacrificed so much in order for you to like have a better life, and I think I started feeling that pressure a lot more in high school.
I hope I can pass on like most of it. Like, I want to be able to speak to them the limited Spanish that I do know. I want them to like understand that their their grandma's Mexican and their dad's Dominican, and know like the different cultures. I want to like show them those countries and like where my parents came from, and yeah, I want them to like know that they're like know where they came from. Yeah.
I want to pass down as much as I possibly can. Every little thing that I used to find embarrassing or annoying or just like not like realize that was so special, now I'm like constantly reminding myself of it. And I like, even if I don't know how to dance, like I want my kids to like listen to salsa and merengue and bachata and reggaeton, and I want them to realize that like being Latinx is so amazing, and being a part of such an amazing community that has so much history and so much passion, that you shouldn't let that go.
I think on my part, like all of it, like I try to be very vocal about my culture and my heritage, and letting them know that that's their culture and their heritage. And also, like, my dad's either Puerto Rican, so I'm like, you're also Puerto Rican, even though I think just since I'm a little louder about it, it's more of what they know about. So I think there's more pressure on that. Like, I want to like instill in them as much as possible, because, you know, if I don't, then it dies there.
Regardless of how Latinx you think you are, even if you don't know how to speak fluent Spanish or don't know how to dance, or, you know, don't like stereotypical Latinx things, that no matter what, like that is always going to be a part of you, and you should not feel ashamed, and just always keep that part of yourself like close.
I would just say be yourself, but embrace your roots. Don't forget like where you came from and the struggles of the generations before you, and kind of like make sure you just kind of look out for your community.
To take pride in who you are and who your parents were, and like just to understand like how hard they worked to get you here, and yeah, it's like a beautiful thing, and to embrace like all aspects of who you are. Yeah.